The Italian Grand Prix is one of the most historical races in Formula 1 history, and what better place to do it than at the Autodromo di Monza. And this is the 70th time we are going to this track and the 71st Grand Prix in Italy. It is great to go to Italy, great prestigious heritage with Formula 1, of course, with Scuderia Ferrari and the Tifosi. A more better year for Italy this year in F1. We're not just going to Italy once or twice, we are going 3 times, of course, this weekend in Monza, then at the Tuscan Grand Prix in Mugello in a few weeks, and then the 3rd time will be at Imola. It's going to be a great race, and of course Mugello is Ferrari's 1000th Grand Prix. But before we get there, let's head into the first Italian Grand Prix and the normal Italian Grand Prix at Monza. 53 laps ahead of us with a certain length of 5.7 kilometers, make a race distance of just under 308 kilometers. Let's wind the clocks back 12 months ago to the 2019 edition, and what a great race that was. Charles Leclerc, after just winning in Belgium a week earlier, takes that Ferrari car, puts it on pole and takes another victory. Very special for him. He was ecstatic on the team radio as he wins his 2nd race in Formula 1. He finally seems like he's on a charge case. Ferrari have come out of the summer break really fired up. Even Seb has a good result, but Charles Leclerc takes a victory, 2nd in Formula 1, 2nd in his career, 1st in front of the Tifosi in Italy, and Ferrari absolutely loves. It's been a long time since they were on the top step of that illustrious podium which sticks out over the pit lane, and Charles had done it. He becomes an instant Tifosi favourite, and if there was fans allowed here in Monza, they would definitely be shouting his name. They even have a Charles Leclerc grandstand. Does Seb have that? I don't think so. That was a very special race for him, and Ferrari were doing a good job. Also, Renault were doing a very strong job, just missing out on the podium, but a good result by Daniel Ricciardo and Nico Hülkenberg. And considering what they did in Belgium, I think we're on for a good race from Renault. Also as well, you've got to remember the Saturday mishap and the ridiculous qualifying that happened there. We had about 8 cars running up to the line just to cross it to finish their final lap. All but 1 car crossed it with time ran out, and the 1 car that did class it, who was in classified time, was Carlos Sainz. So if you go all the way back to Q3 in 2019, the only car that was running was Carlos Sainz. A very weird finish to that qualifying session. And of course that changed a lot of things in F1. A very memorable race in 2019. Let's hope 2020 is rememberable like that. As I say, there'll be no Tifosi. Of course, me and Jordan saw that 3 years ago when we were in the grandstand. We saw them pack the main straight out, of course, with the big red Ferrari flag. Even if Ferrari don't win, they're still there celebrating. We won't see that, but hopefully we will see a strong race in Italy. It is still a good race. Fans are no fans. And as I say, one of 3 races in Italy. So let's go on to the preview. Now, again with Belgium, I'm kind of getting a vibe about who's going to be on the podium, but we'll have to see for Jordan and my predictions for that. Is Formula 1 boring? That was said after Belgium. Hopefully Italy can rectify and change that, and hopefully make people think Formula 1 is entertaining again, ergo 2019's race with Charles Leclerc. So let's jump into this preview, as we always do, with an onboard lap from Dan from F1 eReviews on the F1 2020 video game, taking us through a lap at the Autodromo di Monza.
Let's ride on board then with a lap of Monza with Charles Leclerc, last year's race winner. Heading down the straight in towards turns 1 and 2, heavy braking, easy to lock up the car. Speeds of the car is about 340 kilometers per hour. Nice braking, hitting the apex very nicely. Very easy to lose the rear here as you exit in towards turns 3, which is effectively a straight, especially in this modern day of Formula 1. Hitting the apex very nicely, keeping the car as straight as possible, heading in towards turns 4 and turns 5. Down to 2nd gear, the cars will be hitting once again about 90 kilometers per hour as they go over the 2 curbs. Then it's in towards the 2 Lesmos. One of my favourite parts of the lap, and again down 1 gear towards 6th gear, down to 5th. Nice hitting the apexes, and same again with the 2nd Lesmo, heading towards the 2nd DRS zone, once again keeping the car as straight as possible. Cars will be about on the throttle from between 80 to 85% throughout the course of a lap around the circuit. Now in towards Ascari, a brilliant, very fast chicane. 3 corners, got to negotiate as well, up through the gears into 6th, 7th and then 8th gear. Once again, these cars are going very fast down this track. 350 kilometers per hour is the maximum speed they'll hit. The fastest they'll peak at any point during the course of the season. In towards Parabolica, a very old school corner, very fast corner as well. Now it's just about getting as much track time as you possibly can. and then in towards the final part of the track. And there we go, across the line, and that is a lap of the Circuit de Monza. So what is being said heading into the Italian Grand Prix? Well, this weekend is the first race weekend that we get to see this new engine rule put into place. Now, normally teams are able to run in different engine modes throughout the course of a race weekend, and normally as the weekend progresses, the engines modes get higher and higher, and normally in qualifying is where we see the engines in their highest mode possible, which of course means teams are able to go a lot faster than they would, let's say, in qualifying. Fuel loads are very low, and of course they are on the softer tyres. So at this point, these cars will be at the fastest they'll be throughout the course of the weekend, and you'll hear stuff like, like last lap Lando scenario 7, where the engine is turned up at its peak to give the driver more performance, more power, if you're able to go for an overtake, or if you need to close a gap, if a driver ahead has got a penalty for, let's say, 5 or 10, even 10 seconds, like we've seen in Austria last lap Lando. He was able to increase his engine power, and McLaren was able to do so as well. Give him a little bit of power, just get in front of Lewis Hamilton, who had a 5-second time penalty. He was able to do it. He crossed the line 4.8 seconds behind the 6-time world champion. Pretty impressive. Well, no more will that be the case, because the FIA are clamping down on this, and they are giving all the F1 teams the rule to say that you can only use one mode in qualifying and in the race. So the mode that they use in qualifying will be the same mode they use in the race, and they can't change it whatsoever. Now, this is really to try and close the gap from the top two, let's say, to the midfield teams, or even the rest of the grid for that matter, because Mercedes are running away with it, and a lot of that is, let's say, down to engine power and reliability and stuff, and everybody else is really on the back foot when it comes to this. So the FIA have decided to put this rule into place to see if it will close the gap. Will it? If I'm honest, I really don't know. A lot of people are speculating to saying, well, it's not going to help anything. It's just going to maybe increase the performance of the Mercedes even further. People are saying, okay, it actually is going to close the gap, and Mercedes will struggle, and we will see a difference. Some people are saying, well, maybe Mercedes, it's not going to affect them, but it's going to affect a lot of other teams. And Ferrari just turned around and said, it isn't going to affect us because your engine is absolutely, yeah, you know what. So I'm just going to play by the ear, really. I'm just going to witness and just wait and see what happens in qualifying and then the race to see whether or not it actually gives us anything different in terms of performances. I mean, I'm doubtful of it, but at the same time, I'm very skeptical because it could actually change something. We don't know until we actually see it put into practice. It actually could be the thing that saves Formula 1 in 2020, let's say, because a lot of fans are kind of complaining that the sport is a bit boring at the moment, which it kind of is. But like we said on Twitter before, is that going to stop us coming back? No, I'll still be tuning in every single week, even if Mercedes are still winning at the front. But that is my own preference. Of course, you guys have yours as well. In other news, Roy Nissany, the Williams reserve driver, will be making another appearance in FP1. He made his last appearance in Spain, and he's currently driving in Formula 2 for the Trident team. Now, he very nearly won in Belgium, which was very close, but of course he came together with Dan Ticktum, putting the end of his race. Oh no, why? Why? First, we were promised rain, and that never happened. And then Roy Nissany was robbed of his first Formula 2 win. But hey, nevertheless, so yes, he'll be making another outing in FP1. So make sure to see how he does this weekend. And Ferrari fans, I wouldn't bother tuning in, if I'm being totally honest with you. I mean, Belgium was an absolutely disaster. I can't see it getting any better in Italy, even though some are saying, oh, you know, this is just a one-off, and, you know, things can only get better, and it will get better in Italy. I really can't say it, because Monza is a speed track. Your car doesn't have speed. It doesn't have any downforce anyways, so it just has nothing. The chassis is bad, the engine is bad, the car's, oh my god, it's just an absolute disaster. So yes, if you're a Ferrari fan, just don't even bother tuning in, if I'm being totally honest, or even just support someone else for a change, or just be a true fan and just fight your way through it. But I really can't see many Tifosi tuning in this weekend. No, it's not going to be an enjoyable experience for you guys. I know that for a fact. So my predictions then heading into the Italian Grand Prix. Now, again, I think these predictions are getting a bit predictable when it comes to certain people being on the podium. Because let's face it, realistically, there is going to be just 3 drivers on that podium, and we know who those 3 drivers are going to be, which is Hamilton, Bottas and Verstappen. Now, we do want to make our predictions a little bit more interesting, and just not say the top 3 or the same 3 week in, week out. Trying to be a bit bold here on the debate show. Of course, if you guys want to make your same predictions, then please do so. And if you do want to get involved in our prediction league, like we say every single preview, leave your top 3 and your fastest lap in the comment section below. You've got until the start of Q1 to make your predictions, and if you get it, and if you enter after the Q1 is started, they won't be counted. They'll close, then the entries will reopen on the following Tuesday, or even on the Tuesday of the race week. And if you want to go and read all the rules and everything like that, then of course go over to our Twitter page at F1_day16. Link will be in the description below. Go and give us a follow if you want to as well, which massively appreciated. And go and check out the rules for yourself. So, my top 3. Now, I'm going to say for third place, I'm going to go with Daniel Ricciardo. Now, I'm being a bit bold here because I was bold with Lance Stroll last week. I thought the Racing Points would be strong at Belgium, and they weren't. They were just well off the pace, and I was very surprised by this. Now, Renault have really been, throughout the past couple of races, they were on the pace in Belgium, could have got a podium. Ricciardo, if you had another couple of laps, hey, he could have easily overtaken Max Verstappen. But is that going to be the same scenario in Italy? Hey, only time will tell. Renault have their best result here this time last year in Italy, and it wasn't a good season at all for Renault last season, and the only real highlight was of course the Italian Grand Prix. So I'm expecting maybe that performance to carry over. Now, I'm not saying Ricciardo is going to get there on pace alone, because I do believe Verstappen has a really good chance of being maybe third or even P2, but of course I haven't given my rest of my predictions just yet. But if the race does turn into a bit of a spicy one, I'm expecting to see Ricciardo there again. Not just him as well, Ocon as well. Ocon again, he was doing pretty well, being in P5 as well, just behind his teammate. Renault car's working very well. So I'm expecting them to do better. Well, maybe not as... So I'm expecting them to do roughly the same performance this weekend. So I might go bold. I think a lot of people will predict him as well, Daniel Ricciardo. I'm expecting to see that as well. So, yep, I'm going to go with Daniel Ricciardo as my P3. In P2, I'm going to go with Max Verstappen. I mean, Verstappen is doing absolute bits to keep us kind of in a glimmer of hope of watching at the front of the grid, because Verstappen, he's putting himself in there amongst the Mercedes, making life very difficult for the Silver Arrows, or the Black Arrows as they'll be called this season. Well, maybe not for Lewis Hamilton, but for Valtteri Bottas, because let's face it, even though Bottas did get P2 last week, which was a pretty good result, I think that was only his second P2 he's had this season. So, you know what I mean? It hasn't really been that good. His past podiums before that was a third place in the past 3 races. Then he had that puncture in Silverstone. So Bottas, again, I'm just not expecting good things from Bottas as well, because like he's 50 points behind Lewis Hamilton. I think motivation-wise, he's going to be on the lower side, because he knows he's in a position that realistically you're not going to catch him. You're not going to catch Lewis now. And even to make things worse, he's behind a Red Bull, which I would say is a lot slower than the Mercedes car in terms of pace alone. But with Verstappen being the driver that he is, he's got the best out of that car. Look where he is. He's miles ahead of his teammate. He's miles ahead of probably where that car is supposed to be. Verstappen is just doing absolute unbelievable things. I think he'll be on the podium, P2 or even P3 for that matter. I really don't know. Could be either of them, but I'm going to go with Max Verstappen in P2. And in P1, who else is it going to be? Lewis Hamilton, I'm afraid. Again, boring, I know, but I mean, this guy is just unstoppable right now. Like, seriously, guys. Pole position, race wins. I mean, when is it going to stop? I mean, it's a good thing, because if he does win this weekend, which then he'll be one behind Michael Schumacher's all-time race win record, 90 wins. What? That's just incredible. Absolutely incredible. If Lewis Hamilton does get 90 wins, and he could match it at the following week in Mugello for Ferrari's 1000th Grand Prix, matching Schumacher's record. Who would have thought that would ever have happened? Especially this, well, being so soon, let's say, because I think he set him 2006, and now it's going to be beaten in 2020, which, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that far away from each other. And a lot of people thought that those 91 wins, they're safe, probably till like 2030 or even 2040. But no, in 2020, it's going to be beaten. How scary is that? It's just, it's mad. It's absolutely mad. We are witnessing history. Hamilton, unless something happens to, let's say, Hamilton or his car, I really can't see anybody else beating him. I really can't. Verstappen, he's got a chance, but again, that car, it's just not quite there with the performance of the Lewis Hamilton Mercedes. It's beaten Bottas. I think that's because Bottas isn't performing to the level of what that car can do. But unlike Lewis Hamilton, he's just on a different level right now. And like I said, I really can't see anybody else beating him at the Italian Grand Prix. So there we go. That is my top 3. Fastest lap, I'm going to say Max Verstappen on this front. Again, just got a hunch. I really don't know about fastest lap. It's very hard to tell. Because last week I said, Max could be that far behind from the Mercedes boys. He might pit, be so far ahead from P4, have a pit, softer tyres, get on the fastest lap and get an extra point. That wasn't the case. He was still within that window of Ricciardo, and of course he was catching him throughout the course of the race. Verstappen wasn't able to do that. I just think he might just get a lucky. I just think he might get a fastest lap. Might set it, halfway through the race. Might set it towards the end of the race. We'll have to wait and see on that. Even Ricciardo could get it as well. He got it at the at Belgium, which was very surprising, and on the last lap as well. Nearly caught Verstappen. That was very good indeed. So yes, my top 3: Daniel Ricciardo for P3, Max Verstappen for P2, Lewis Hamilton for P1, and Max Verstappen as my fastest lap. What is your predictions? Let us know in the comment section below as always. So Lyle, what's your top 3 and why?
So again, like I just said at the start, a lot of people were saying Belgium was boring race, and we had a progression of a race which just finished how it all started. First, second and third finished, first, second and third. Mercedes domination, Red Bull second strongest car, and it wasn't really entertaining. But again, that wasn't really true. The podium might not have been, but the midfield definitely was. I'm expecting that to be this weekend. But nevertheless, we've got to do our podium. Now, again, I'm trying to think, how can I spice it up from other people, what they're saying? What I've been seeing from the prediction league and things like that is that they're saying Renault is going to be as strong as they were last race. And even, I was going to say, even last year, very strong race in Monza for them in 2019. Strong in 2020, Belgium as well. Daniel Ricciardo finishing in 4th place, just missing out on Max Verstappen's 3rd place and getting the fastest lap. Am I going to finish them? Am I going to follow them? No. So in 3rd place, I'm going to go an odd route. And in 3rd place, I'm going to say Lewis Hamilton. This is just more of a want. We all know Lewis is on a charge. But I'm thinking he's going to get a 3rd place just because of the people I'm going to put higher up than him. Yes, of course, he is on a massive charge since Belgium. Definitely strong for the British driver. That Mercedes car is very, very powerful. And of course, he'll be extending his win. If he wins this race, it'll be his 90th win in Formula 1. And of course, next week, he will then match Michael Schumacher's record. And then, of course, the race after that, where he will beat. If he does, I'm saying he's not going to win this weekend. I'm going to say a 3rd place, and I'm just going to jump over him quickly because of the people I'm going to put in the next 2 positions who I think will beat him. So in 2nd place, I'm going to put Valtteri Bottas. A strong race for him in Belgium, but I was seeing a few little things about Valtteri that I wanted to bring up from Belgium. The first thing was, yes, of course, he is a very strong driver, and a good 2nd place, definitely helping the team and him in the drivers. He might not be challenging Lewis, of course, but definitely still a very strong driver. But the second thing was, though, is that he might be falling a little bit into the Russia 2018 kind of thinking about Valtteri, and he definitely does not want that. On the team radio, he said around lap 10 or lap 11, can I make the push? Meaning that, I've got the chance to push and get Lewis Hamilton now, I'm in DRS zone, can I do this? He was told on the radio, we said, no, don't challenge Lewis, and we actually said that in a team meeting beforehand, to which Valtteri said, I didn't hear that, so, I don't have to do that. And I thought that was pretty good to see from Valtteri. It showed that he wasn't going back into the Russia 2018 Valtteri, James kind of mentality. He was pushing forward. And again, he didn't really challenge Lewis after that, but I think that was just because Lewis, made a massive gap before that, around that. But still, Valtteri Bottas kind of borderlining on that. And again, I think now people are reliving the Valtteri 2.0 kind of thing. Is Valtteri, can he challenge Lewis? Is he there to actually challenge Lewis, or is he there to just be a number 2 driver? And I think he'll take all of that, and also the fight that he'll have, that he wants to get Lewis, and he doesn't believe in all of the critics, and he doesn't believe in all the people that are saying, he's not good enough. He'll take all that, and I think that he will jump Lewis. I'm expecting a jump into the first corner. I think if he can get that, that will be him done. So yes, I'm going to say second place for Valtteri Bottas. But again, that just means, you know, the Mercedes are going to be very strong. But I just think that the first place driver will be them. Now again, this is a massive gamble, but I'm going to say first place, Max Verstappen. Last year was an incredible race from him, taking the engine penalties and driving from the back of the grid to 8th place. Definitely strong from him. Again, after what happened in Belgium last year, he will have gone out on a massive charge for that race. And even though Belgium, of course, went much better than it did last year for Max, this year, of course, he finished in 3rd place of where he started, and it was still a good result for him. I do think that he'll be on a push, and that's mainly because after the race, he was criticising Lewis Hamilton, he was criticising Mercedes, saying that, well, you know, Lewis run away with it, and he understands why people think Formula 1 is boring at the moment. I think all of that will push him to get the best result that he possibly can. Now, again, after Belgium, a lot of people were saying that the Red Bulls weren't that powerful. Of course, they were the second powerful car, but in a track that does have, you know, quite a few straights and long corners where straight line speed kind of overtakes the chassis build, and of course the, you know, the quick turns we see in Austria and dominated tracks that Red Bull do well at. I do still think that Red Bull still can pull out a few little, you know, joker cards when people don't think like that, because again, look at Silverstone, the 70-year anniversary race, when Max Verstappen won that. I wouldn't say Austria and Silverstone were like in any way, and Red Bull don't really do that well around there. I mean, the last win was Mark Webber in 2012. So again, you wouldn't think that they were the strongest car around there, but Max definitely made it work because he's got good racecraft, of course, and the engine, that Honda engine, is still good. So I'm going to say Max Verstappen for first place. Sorry, maybe false habit saying third, but I'm going to say it for first place. So Red Bull would be on the podium, and he'll be able to hound the Mercedes drivers, and he'll keep them at bay for 2nd and 3rd. Again, I'm expecting a good race from Renault. I'm also expecting a good race from AlphaTauri, Pierre, and also Daniel. But again, I'm not putting either of those on the podium, and especially I'm not putting Ricciardo on the podium. I don't think he is strong enough to do that, but I'm hoping for a good result from him. In fastest lap, I'm just going to chuck it out there, and I'm going to say Charles Leclerc. I mean, I made a prediction last weekend, for Ferrari to be on the podium. Didn't go well, but Danny Rick gets the fastest lap anyways, outside the normal realm, so I'm just going to chuck it out there and say Charles Leclerc. I really don't know who could get it. Possibly Hamilton, but I've already said Charles, so that's locked in and already done. Anyway, that is my predictions for the Italian Grand Prix. As John said earlier, make sure to leave your predictions for the Prediction League. Also, we hope that you enjoy the Monza Grand Prix, the Italian Grand Prix, on Sunday. Again, we have so much more content coming for you guys on this channel. Tomorrow, we have a very, very special interview. Please go and check that out when it drops. We'll be advertising it on Twitter and our social medias. It is a very, very special one. We enjoyed so much recording it, and we hope you guys enjoy watching it. Also, Saturday is our F1 debate show as always, and Sunday is the race reaction done by Jordan after a thrilling, well, hopefully a thrilling race at Monza. Again, I just said that we've got so much more content coming your way, especially on week build-ups as well, including F1 24/7 news and agree or disagree videos. We hope that you enjoyed the 2020 season so far. We hope that you enjoy our content. If you are new around here, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. You'll be notified every time we upload a video. And until next time, guys, we hope that you enjoy Monza, and hopefully we're hearing more grazie ragazzi from Scuderia Ferrari and not Mein Gott Muttersein. Do you think that Ferrari were in a slump in Belgium and this is just a one-off race, or do you actually think we are witnessing a Ferrari decline and they are not going to be strong this weekend? And if you're going to put Ferrari on the podium, I wouldn't bother. But anyways, guys, we'll have to see what happened in the race. It should be a good one. Enjoy the race, and until next time, we'll see you later.